The landmark 1973 ruling that recognizes a woman's constitutional right to a safe abortion is now in doubt. A draft opinion leaked on Monday suggests Roe v. Wade could be overturned. Joining us to talk more about this is Dr. Eddy Carder, constitutional expert and professor at Prairie View A&M University. Good morning, Dr. Carder. Thank you so much for being with us.
Good morning. Good to be here.
So let's start with what you believe is the basis for this decision, what we know as a draft opinion.
When you read Justice Alito's draft opinion that was leaked just recently, he presents three arguments. First of all, he says that the right to an abortion is not based in the text of the Constitution. Secondly, he says that it's not based in the authorial intent or the original meaning of the Constitution. And then he also, even more importantly, says that the right to an abortion is not a part of our nation's traditions and history and values. These are the three arguments that essentially he presents with regard to why abortion is not a right and why Roe v. Wade should be overturned. The problem with that is that really his analysis has implications for other so-called constitutional fundamental rights, such as, for example, same-sex marriage. Same-sex marriage is not explicitly addressed in the text of the Constitution, nor is it addressed really in the original meaning of the authors in the Constitution, or has it been a part of our national tradition and values. So the implications are really very significant for this kind of reasoning as applied to other issues.
This draft opinion was leaked on Monday night to Politico. It has been confirmed as a authentic document. So what does this mean today, 2 days later, are the erroneous consequences that we're talking about?
Well, I'm assuming you're talking about the implications of the actual law. Well, there are a number of implications of this decision. There are judicial implications. What we're seeing in this leak and in the opinion itself is the politicization of the court, which we suspected was there, but now is really obvious and very pronounced. Also, there are political implications for this decision. There's implications for the midterm elections, calling upon electing individuals who are pro-choice. And then on top of that, Congress is considering the possibility of codifying the right to an abortion. So there are political implications. And then not the least of which we've seen here in Austin, the social implications, the unrest, the anarchy, the conflict existing between citizens regarding this issue. So the implications of this leak and this decision are very, very pronounced.
And then my last question, bringing it home to Texas. We have been reporting all morning that Texas has a trigger law. So the way should Roe v. Wade be overturned, things would happen differently here in the state of Texas as opposed to another one of our states.
You're exactly right. The implications of the overturning of Roe v. Wade, as evidenced in this leak and this decision, are very significant. Currently, 13 states have trigger laws that are in place. Texas is one of those states. Within 30 days of the reversal of Roe v. Wade and the announcement of this decision, abortion, the right to an abortion would be eliminated in our state with the exception of the interest of preserving the life or the health of the mother. So it's estimated also there are up to 26 other states that may follow through on the kind of possibility with regard to trigger laws. Abortion is going to be kicked to the responsibilities of the states, and it's going to cause no small stir with regard to conflict and interruption of life for many individuals. So the implications are very, very profound in a more personal way for those of us in the state of Texas. Absolutely.
Yeah, a lot more to come out of this. Dr. Eddy Carder, constitutional expert and professor at Prairie View A&M University. We always appreciate your time. Thank you for spending some of it with us today.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.